What is going on, my fellow ghosts? It is the Blind Prophet, and today I wanted to bring a video discussing the main antagonist or villain in Ghost of Tsushima, my theories, and how they could possibly play their role in the game. This is a topic I've been wanting to do ever since hearing Patrick Gallagher's awesome monologue in the trailer, so without further hesitation, let's get right into this one. Khotun Khan. Okay, so this is where things already get really interesting. Under the IMDb for Ghost of Tsushima, Gallagher plays Khotun Khan, but from what I've been able to research, either this is a character crafted for the game for one of two reasons. One, to allow more freedom to Sucker Punch to create a character that is not bound by historical events and or real traits, behaviors, or attitudes. Two, this is a fictional replacement for Kublai Khan, or this is a placeholder name and the character is in fact Kublai Khan. Now, either of these I'm completely fine with and would prefer it to be a fictional character made specifically for the game that is inspired by and mirrors Kublai, but has no historical obligations, and Sucker Punch gets to craft a character that fits the narrative they are striving for. But no matter what the actual case is, I still feel it is important we discuss Kublai Khan for a while and explore a little bit to find out about him and his conquests. Now, as to the relationship to Temujin, or Genghis Khan, as it has been sort of unclear as some sources label Kublai as a cousin to Genghis, and others refer to him as a grandson. But being that Genghis passed in 1227, and Kublai was born in 1215, I would imagine Kublai could be the grandson of the notorious Mongolian. But with that confusion out of the way, Kublai Khan was no doubt a descendant of Genghis Khan, and was the 5th Khagan of the Mongol Empire, reigning from 1260 to 1294, with power that reached to Korea and China. And during his reign in 1266, Kublai sent emissaries to Japan. This was basically a threat that Japan send tribute or face conflict, and Japan put off his demands for years until 1274, when a combined force of almost 20,000 Mongol, Chinese, and Korean soldiers landed on Tsushima Island, where a mere 80 Japanese, led by the governor of Tsushima, tried to defend the beach Kamodahama. That was just the beginning of the mass invasion of 1274, and the Mongols wiped out the whole 300-person populace of Tsushima Island and moved on to the east. So what does this all mean for what we'll be playing? Well, we already know that Ghost of Tsushima is revolving around this first invasion, but as far as what I've been able to research, it is unclear if Kublai actually took part in this, hence another possibility as to why Sucker Punch is going with a fictional character. And now we get into my favorite part, theories. So, my biggest theory for our antagonist, Khotun Khan, is that, and spoiler alert if I end up being right, he kills Jin's wife and or family, and attempts to kill Jin as well. Now, if you saw my video speculating the horse mechanics I would like to see in the game, I also presented this theory in conjunction with a possible narrative for the horse, but only for Jin, not those around him dying. However, not only has Sucker Punch confirmed that Jin is the last surviving samurai of Tsushima Island, but we also see and hear several hints to his family being murdered in the trailer. First off is a visual of a woman who is tied up and weeping that is only a few frames long that we see after Khotun explains that he knows which villages to tame and which to burn.
Which villages to tame and which to burn?
The woman is also in front of what seems to be an executed Japanese man, and she must be weeping in acknowledgement of facing the same fate. I believe this is possibly Jin's wife, as this is the only person in the trailer we truly get a good look at besides our hero and villain. Her murder and the murder of Jin's other kin are what will most likely kick off his arc of becoming a more unconventional samurai, adopting shinobi elements to combat the Mongols. Next, after we see the woman, and what seems to be 2 executions from the perspectives of those being killed, we hear a very important line spoken by Khotun.
So I'll ask you once again, samurai, do you surrender?
And this just completely had me ensorcelled, because not only is the Inception bass bombs in the background carrying a lot of tonal dramaticism, but also the facial animation at "Do you surrender?" when Khotun furrows his eyebrows almost implies a sort of confusion and maybe respect, as he refers to Jin as a samurai, which, yeah, he is one, but I think maybe Khotun is granting Jin the nobility of being called his respective title because in his eyes he's earned it. Maybe Jin put up the fight that Khotun could have heard about when he says earlier in the trailer, "And you have won battles lesser men would call unwinnable." I also visualize this scene much like the scene in The Walking Dead when we first meet Negan, and he kills 2 of our beloved characters in order to make a point. I feel this could play out similar to the dynamic that Rick and Negan had, where Negan had a sort of respect for Rick, but needed him to abide by his law, and Rick refused, so Negan enacted consequences accordingly, and much like Kublai, Negan had a system of outsourcing tributes from other communities such as the Kingdom, the Hilltop, and so forth, and Japan, in essence Alexandria, refusing to acknowledge this. I hope that Khotun is very present in the game and isn't one of those sit back and send the henchmen type villains, and in the same sequence in the trailer we see his cheek is bloody, which could have been the result of a battle injury. So although we know we will be fighting countless Mongols, I want to see Khotun more than just in this sequence, and in the possible end in which we kill him. Now, lastly, the next part that ties all of this together is after the dramatic stare into the camera we see Jin give us as he transitions into a whole different shinobi-esque attire. We see him standing in front of what seems to be a cemetery, and I believe that this not only symbolizes his rise from the dead, making him the Ghost of Tsushima, but also gives us a reverse foreshadowing to the death of his family as mentioned before, as well as the whole village. I really love this shot, not only because of how cool he looks, but it just really has a sad tone to it, as we might see all of those people die, and as Jin would be the only survivor, we might also have to see him bury them, which could be extra painful as most of the corpses could be burnt, as we see part of him burns away as well. But with all that said, Ghost, what do you think? Could this actually be Kublai, or do you think Sucker Punch created a character they could play around with to fit the story and theme they are going for? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I would love to know and discuss it with you, as I always love a good villain. As they say, a hero or hero movie is only as good as their villain. But as always, stay hydrated, let them pass in peace, and Excelsior.